with one accord, have one intention: peace. Peace on earth. Peace on earth to men of all will. Peace begins with us. We must first be at peace with ourselves. We must love ourselves. We must appreciate ourselves and realize that there is only one self. And that means we must appreciate everyone, anyone, someone, all one. There is no one but one. There is no one to fight unless you imagine it. There is no one to hate without hating yourself. There is no one to criticize because you criticize yourself. There is no one to judge because you judge yourself then. There is only one presence, one. Not two. Love one another because there is only one and no other. One. There is magic in the word one. And that's why when you win something, a contest, a trophy, you have won. O-N-E. One. Not two. Only one. And now imagine the world, see the whole planet. Wrap a ribbon around it. Give it a kiss. And love the one in the form of our planet. Love one another because there is no other. Go deep within now for a few seconds and just think, feel that there's only one. Only one. Just one. And each of us is that one. 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 Peace on earth begins with each of us. Let's open our eyes and look around the room and look at one. There is only one. Where? Good morning, I'm Reverend Cathy Carver. I was the senior minister here 38 years ago. And I've been promoted. I'm now the associate minister to Reverend Robin Platt. Welcome to all. I've been busy getting ready to move, so I forgot May 8th was Mother's Day. So when I wrote this talk, it's not about mothers. I'm afraid if you want an inspiring Mother's Day talk, you'll have to Google it. Charles Fillmore was the founder of this church, and he called it unity. Why? Because unity means one, joined as a whole. This is the reason that around the world, every Sunday morning, our congregation says, there's one presence, one power, God the good. The same theme of one ends the prayer of protection. Now this was by James Dillard Freeman, who was still alive when I was in ministerial school. And here is the correct poem that he wrote. Notice the light of God surrounds me, and it does, etc. But it says, to the presence of God watches over me wherever I am, God is. You notice that all we say is, wherever we are, God is. Unthinkingly. Why is it important? Because I am is the name of God. It was given to Moses way back during the burning bush, which was the best idea they could come up with for glory and glowing and radiant. Few people realize what they're saying when they answer a simple question. What's your name? What would you say? I am. Totally unaware that they're giving their true divine name before they mention their temporary human one. How many of us realize that every time we say I am, we're taking God's name? Hopefully not in vain. I see what you all cuss like. Genesis told us there was an original sin that caused man's fall. What was this sin? Duality, good and evil. In Genesis 3, when God created male and female in his own image, he gave only one warning to Adam and Eve. And you know, I don't remember seeing this or hearing it in sermons, but this is what God said. Of every tree in the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Do you all remember seeing that in Genesis? I confess I don't. What a very specific warning. But why would knowledge like this kill you? Think about it. What's the opposite of good? What's the opposite of life? Two opposite causes would create two opposite effects. Not one, but two. Duality. But in Genesis 3, we find that Eve didn't listen. When the serpent, who represents the bearer of a deadly poison, said to Eve, "Oh no, you won't die. You'll be just like God," knowing good and evil. I don't know if he sounded like that. And Eve swallowed the fatal belief. And by doing so, she introduced both good and evil into our world. Humanity still doesn't realize that there's only one. It needs to know this truth before that truth can set us free. If you don't know it, how can it free you? What is this vital truth? There is only one power, presence, one being, one energy, one field, according to the quantum physicist today. God. The one being all is confusing to us because our physical senses are extremely limited. They tell us that this one being appears to be many different separate forms. Each one of us looks solid and alone, and they all look different. Some look more different than others. But the truth is this infinite being is one infinite energy. Everything is energy. But this is the secret. Energy vibrates at different speeds, infinite speeds. And energy vibrates so fast sometimes that like a fan, its blades disappear. So does energy. We don't see it. It just is there, but we can't see it. Only if it vibrates at a really slow speed do we see it. And then it looks separate. But it's the same one energy, still vibrating at different speeds. God is all that is, no matter what form it seems to take. And that's why Jesus said, judge not appearances, because separation is an illusion. One energy, one God, one being is the truth, the reality. We're kind of like paper dolls. We're all on the same page, but we think each one of us is separate. Look around the room. We appear to be totally unique. And each one of us is unique. What an imagination God has. Some of us are even more unusual than others. But we're all on the same page. Energy, spirit. But there's one really important thing. What is this one God like? Now, early humanity believed in a God for every occasion. We had Zeus and Poseidon for the sea, and Aphrodite for love, Apollo, I forget what he was for, Hermes, and centuries went by. And finally, Abraham the Jew taught that there's only one God, one. 2,000 years later, that's now in case you can't count, monotheism is common. 8 out of 10 people in the world today believe in a higher power. But today there's one problem that remains. What kind of God do people believe in? Unfortunately, most of us were told that God was a powerful old man with a beard. He was always white and he was always male, in case you didn't notice. And he had a crown on his head, and he sat way up on a cloud. And he was holding a scepter, and he usually was frowning. And this God sat in judgment of everyone, watching for evildoers. I remember when I was in the first grade, the nun taught us to say, as we went in line, God sees you. If only she'd said, God loves you. So when this evil God saw people, he got violently angry if they didn't obey him. And so what did he do? He punished them. And how? Did he spank them? No. He sent them into the fires of hell. For how long? 2 weeks till they learn better? For eternity. What a wonderful God. That God reacted like a mad human, and he inspired fear and terror in his worshipers. And this was the God churches taught most of us. And why? To control us. If you don't go to Mass, you go to hell. I'll bet that added a lot of money to the collection plate. Can I tell you all that? If you don't show up next Sunday, guess where you'll go? Well, I was terrified of going to hell when I was young, for many reasons. Well, this group has a sense of humor at my expense. Was anybody here raised to believe in the God I just talked about?
Oh, yeah.
Was there anybody who wasn't? Wow, lucky there are 2 of you who didn't go to hell. Now, when I wrote this, I was sure that the church had changed their rule by now, and that if you didn't go to Mass, you wouldn't go to hell. But I Googled it. And the church still believes that if you don't go to Mass on Sunday without a very good reason, you go to hell. But finally today, we've reached the great shift. And a few people are beginning to see a bigger God, a galactic God. This God is a force of pure love. It's a God who loves us and doesn't punish us. And most important of all, we're beginning to realize that since everything is God, God is everywhere, and all his energy, guess what that includes? Us. God is in us, each one of us. We're beginning to see that we really are temples of the living God. That wasn't just an expression. We're starting to see the unity of all that is. The United States, the United Nations, the European Union. More and more individual cells are recognize their oneness in ever and ever expanding whole. In the future, we will see that God is even bigger yet. A God of infinite united galaxies of the world. But why is this so significant to us? What makes it practical today? Why are you sitting here listening to this talk, I hope? Because since God is in us, think about what that means. We have the same power that God does. And what power is that? The power to create. And how does God create? Words. Genesis 1, and God said, let there be light. 9 times it says, and God said, and 9 times his words created exactly what he said. Nothing else. And he also said everything was good. So, we're living in paradise, right? Wrong. Why not? Because man does not realize that he has this divine creative power. Humans have not realized that every word we speak creates what we say. God help us. So for centuries, mankind has ignorantly spoken words acknowledging aging, sickness, poverty, hate, war, and death. And with our powerful creative words, we have declared war. We have unknowingly created a world with the exact opposites created by Eve, a world of good and evil. But today, especially in a room like this around the world, we begin to realize our God power. So we have the power to recreate what we have miscreated. We must begin by speaking only true, good, powerful, beautiful words. We must be careful to use the creative power of our divine name, I am, only with words we want to see in our world. Here's an example of how we should be speaking and why affirmations work. Reverend Ray gave us a great one a couple of weeks ago, and I'd like us to say it right now if you repeat it after me 3 times. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
I am whole in body, mind, and spirit.
If only I'd remember Dad young. Repeat this as often as you can. Now, I have Alexa remind me at home. It gets embarrassing, though, when you have company. Now, Jesus gave us the complete law when he said, be it done unto you according to your faith, your words, your belief. But there's one thing we didn't hear in that sentence. The first words, be it done unto you. Jesus did not say we had to go out and dig a ditch by the sweat of our brow. He said what we believe, what we say, is done for us by the divine power in us. Everything starts with words and thoughts and beliefs. And when the prodigal son returned home, he found it was the Father's good pleasure to give him the kingdom. He didn't make him go back and feed the damn pigs. We don't work on the physical plane to create. We work on the mental and spiritual planes using the one divine power. These are our tools, divine tools. And we make patterns. Light produces light is the law. Plant a tomato seed and you don't get a grapefruit. You harvest exactly what you say. So plant only good words and harvest only good things. Now, personally, I know these words are true, but I don't always remember them, and I don't always remember not to say that I feel sick or I look bad or look in the mirror and think, oh, God. How many of us do that, you know? I see all the hands went up. My old programming and yours interferes with our lives. So when you hear yourself or see yourself look in the mirror and criticize yourself, know the truth and know that if you don't use it, it won't work for you. Today we are beginning finally to realize when Jesus said, "Ye are gods," he meant exactly what he said. And he asked the Jews in John 11:33 why they stoned him. And they answered, "For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because thou, being a man, makest thyself God." And Jesus answered, "Is it not written in your law, ye are gods?" It's time to know that there really is only God in each and every single one of us. In that piano, and it was very magic, in the guitar. In this room, in the chair you're sitting on, there's one energy taking infinite forms. So listen to what you say. And make sure you want to see what you said. Watch your mouth is great advice. Because creation really is in the power of the tongue. Ye are gods is not blasphemy. Ye are gods is the truth that sets you free from all the wrong programming that we've all had. And remember, the God that we are is the good God, the God of pure love, the God of beauty and power. The great poet Rumi once said, "I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God." So if you enjoyed this talk, hit the like button, and so it is. Thank you.